to where Death Holler brought us. Season 3, Slash or Pass. It became the classic horror film podcast of its time. And now Death Holler brings us the most shocking season ever.
10 more parts.
Season 4, Dead or Dead.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Imagine, if you will, that one of the hosts is absolutely terrified of zombies.
So, what's the plan? Bash him in the head. That seems to work out.
Now, accept the fact there is no escaping this horror. Death Holler brings back the dead. Remember, when you're in Death Holler, listener discretion is advised. With hospitality like this, you'll never want to leave. We hope you stay alive.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Really?
That's what I sounded like the past few days.
Host Reverend Dr. Death, and joining me as always is my co-host Llareyna, and Noah's joining us for this episode. We actually, before we get to the movie that we're discussing, we actually have an Attack of the Bees for this part of the episode.
Right now?
Yes.
Let's attack some bees.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes!
That's right. This episode, Attack of the Bees, is Night of the Animated Dead from 2021.
God damn it, I didn't watch it.
Tagline: the fear, the terror, the panic will eat you alive.
That's pretty good.
Directed by Jason Axon, written by George A. Romero and John A. Russo. It's basically Night of the Living Dead, just done in an animated movie. Music by Nima Fakrara, I guess is how you say that.
Yeah.
Principal players, we got Catherine Isabel playing Barbara. She's still useless and comatose throughout the movie, so don't get it twisted.
Is this based off the first one or the remake?
The first one.
Oh, okay.
She was in American Mary, the Ginger Snaps trilogy, which is really good.
Hell yeah,
Freddy versus Jason. Yeah, I love those movies. Insomnia, It's a Wonderful Knife, Boo. She couldn't save that movie.
Yeah.
And she was actually in 2 episodes of Supernatural. I didn't realize that until I was doing the notes. So
wow.
I have to go back and try to find her in those.
You ever see I don't know if you ever saw the series that they did like 3 different movies, and it's all like comic book animation, but in that's kind of more live. It's the Rot City series.
Rot City. I don't think I've ever seen them.
Oh, dude, you would love those. So like they're little. It's all done in this comic book style, but it's not still motion. It's like active comic book is what it is. So it plays like a regular movie, but it's a hella good series. It's one of my favorite little kind of cartoon. And it's over the top, dude. It's an over the top like zombie thing.
They kind of did that with this one, and it kind of matches what you're saying, but I'll get into it. There's a lot of criticism about this, and it's warranted in my opinion. Dulé Hill plays Ben, still our flawed hero. Josh Duhamel plays Harry Cooper, who's still the coward and asshole. I mean, they're basically the same characters they were in the original movies. or a movie. He was in Transformers and did a bunch of TV shows. Nancy Travis plays Helen Cooper, who still resents her husband with everything in her fiber.
Jesus.
She was in Saw Married an Axe Murderer. I'm pretty sure she was the crazy lady in that. That was the axe murderer.
She was.
The Vanishing, Three Men and a Little Baby. Still remember the rumor about that movie that went around about how there was a ghost in the window.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean,
it's Ted Danson's cutout that they left in the scene in between cuts.
I was about to say it's been debunked, but it's pretty good.
Scared the shit out of me as a kid after somebody said it and I saw it there, but
it's funny now because if you think about that now, if you were to make that movie nowadays, you would have a totally different outlook on the movie. You'd be like, goddamn Hollywood people, I know what they're up to.
It wouldn't be three men, even if it was three men. If you catch my drift.
It'd be three men and a gaby.
Yeah. No, it'd be three men doing inappropriate things.
Well, it might be that, but I'm thinking that it'd be three trans women, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes. I'm surprised no one's trying to sell that horse shit.
Just give them time.
They're working on it.
James Rodriguez plays Tom, who's still the all-American kid, just ready to, set that gas pump on fire and blow himself up.
Just a good old boy.
Yeah. In fact, he was in the Dukes of Hazzard movie, so there you go. He was just a good old boy.
Hell yeah.
Also in the movie Gravy. Katie Sackhoff, that's a big name.
Yeah.
Played Judy in this one. She still gets Tom and herself killed by...
Way to go, loser.
Being indecisive and then, causing much problems. I think they changed it up in this one that Judy actually helped her uncle or something drive trucks. So that kind of lended more why did she have to be the one to drive? Well, she's got experience or something, but whatever. Of course, Katie Sackhoff was in Halloween Resurrection, the worst movie in that series, and that's saying a lot. Oculus, which was really good. The Mandalorian, she's primarily featured in the worst season of that show. I hate to say it for her. She is good in Longmire, though. If you've ever seen that or haven't, I highly recommend Longmire. It's a good series.
Yeah, Raina doesn't like countries, so I don't think she would go for that movie.
I don't like countries?
Well, you don't like anything that's kind of Western.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a big Western.
It's got a Western vibe, but it's also got a murder mystery type thing, like investigation type stuff going on. It's a combination of the two.
Okay.
She was in White Noise 2, The Light, and then, of course, Battlestar Galactica is where she primarily is known for. Will Sasso plays Sheriff McClellan, my favorite character still. And he's still burning and killing. That's what he does. I didn't realize this, but the sheriff in the first movie was actually played by the local sheriff.
Oh, that's awesome.
The real local sheriff.
Hell yeah, dude. He was hella thrilled to do that.
He had to be.
Probably did it for free.
Yeah. I mean, pretty happy to, they had people, if I remember right, it's either this movie or or his original movie or the remake. Had people all the way from Kentucky that wanted to be extras in it. I'm pretty sure it was the remake, but they had enough, people wanting to be in it. Will is from Mad TV, did a bunch of impressions on that. Happy Gilmore, the Three Stooges movie, Eli Roth's Haunted House, Trick or Treat, VR Treat, and then Super Troopers 2. He plays a Canadian Mountie or whatever, and pretty funny in that. And then Jimmy Simpson plays John, Barbara's shithead brother, and he was in Studio 666, Gravy, and then Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
So synopsis is it's an animated remake of the 1968 Night of the Living Dead with more gore.
Oh,
That's
okay.
literally it.
Animated. I guess you didn't say that.
Yeah, it's animated, but not well. And
Okay.
that's the first big criticism of the movie. It's like Noah was talking about with that other series, Rock City. It looks like a comic book brought to life, but if you imagine they left some frames out to make the animation not seem as fluid. So that's the kind of animation style you're getting.
It looks like a WB cartoon, almost like it was trying to be Batman, but not as good.
That's what makes that City of Rot good, because the selling point wasn't that it's an amazing. It's more of this comic book type look to it.
Well, this is, I mean, I don't know. It's not drawn well enough for me to actually give it any credit for the animation style.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. Oh, God.
It looks like if you took the original series, traced over it, and did it in the style of Archer, but not like Archer now. Archer when it first started Archer. Like that kind of like, you know, style of movie, and that's kind of what they did with it.
I'm looking at a scene right now where it looks like Barbara looks like the teacher from the Magic School Bus almost. Like it's drawn like that.
They changed some things in the movie or this version of it. They added more gore to it because they could, and that's both a blessing and a curse, because when we talked about the first movie, there's never a scene shown of like that the person who was ate upstairs that should have been a zombie by all rights.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any brain damage. They do a pan around scene in this one where they show that the person, blew their brains out before they were eaten. So,
boo.
Well, it explains it, why they're a zombie. I like that aspect of that scene. There's a scene later on in the movie, though, which is it's so bad it's laughable. It's right whenever Tom and Judy set the truck on fire and they pull away from Ben. And this one, instead of the thing, her just like trying to get her coat unstuck and then blowing up, and that's it. The glass or something on the truck breaks, shoots through the windshield, takes all of Tom or his head off, takes most of her neck out. They sit there for like way too long on the scene to the point where it's almost like, am I supposed to be laughing at this?
Yeah.
And then the truck blows up. It's like it's so like poorly edited that and it's so out there and unnecessary that it ruins it. The only thing that I think this movie done well, and it wasn't necessary at all for the story, was when Ben is telling the story at the beginning of the movie of how he got the truck and how he was like, he saw a bunch of zombie or ghouls attacking like this gas truck or whatever across the way, and like how it blew up and, nobody responded to it at the diner. It shows all of that. It actually animates all of it. And it's actually a really good scene, but it's not necessary for the story. You just hear Ben tell the stories enough, but that's really the only thing this thing adds, period. Like that's all I would recommend it for. Yeah. Because animation, you're basically watching the original movie, so you might as well watch the original movie.
Yeah. The animation is so bad. The only thing now they made this look very enticing. So the cover of it, the poster, if you will, looks amazing.
Yeah. The poster looks great.
Yeah. But then you start looking at the animation and you're like, what is this? It looks like, how that channel, there's that channel on Pluto, Reverend, I mentioned it before, but there's Pluto is free TV on most Vizios, and there's a channel called Saturday morning cartoons or after school cartoons, and they have a lot of scary, quotation marks, scary type cartoons. They had Tales from the Crypt, a couple other similar quotation mark, again, scary. That's what this looks like it belongs.
Yeah.
Like it's not scary enough to be taken seriously, but it's scary enough that kids that are wanting to get into introductory horror could watch this.
That might be the angle you go with it. But but the thing is that the gore in it is so out there that I don't know you'd want to show it to kids.
That's true.
It's got a low rating for a reason. It doesn't know who its audience is. They got some good voice actors, but the thing about that is too, and that's where the animation hurts it as well. You've got some good voice actors who are actually doing their job trying to convey the character. The on-screen drawings don't convey how their voices are doing. So, like whenever Barbara's supposed to be like like freaking out, the drawing on that cartoon character of her is just like blank faced and just like kind of staring out. And it doesn't match the intensity that Catherine Isabel's putting into the voice.
That sucks. They really do have a great cast.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to watch it, because I was like, it's got a good cast. I like the movie. Let's see what they can do with it. And then whenever I saw, I was like, oh God, this is the route we're going with this. Okay.
Oh my God.
So my Nick Cage rating for this is The Croods. They're both animated films. They're both styles of animation are not my thing. The voice acting is competently done in both, but like it's not something I would want to rewatch or recommend.
That's so funny. I do like The Croods.
I just don't like the animation style.
Yeah,
of it. The story is supposed to be pretty decent in The Croods.
Yeah.
Well, the story in this is pretty good, but it's just animation. Anyways, okay, Night of the Living Dead, 1990. Tagline: there is a fate worse than death.
That's horrible. I mean, it's a good tagline. I let me rephrase. It's really good, but that's freaky.
Directed by Tom Savini, written by John A. Russo and George A. Romero.
What?
Yeah, it's actually George gave any changes in this versus the original George approved. So it's full on. And I mean, he's also got a screenplay credit for this, so he did come back and
are you serious?
Add some stuff.
He approved all the changes for the movie that they made, because there were some changes that sucked, and there were some changes that were really good.
And primarily the Barbara change. He wanted that change because that he didn't want anything done with Ben, because we talked about this on the last episode about this. That whole stuff with Ben and the civil rights movement, that was not intended. It was totally they took a white character and because the black actor was the best one of the bunch and could play the part the best, they put him in the role, and everybody read in all that bullshit. And Romero was like, I don't care about that. That wasn't the point of this. But whenever he watched the movie back, he did see because he originally had Barbara in the original script as being like she went catatonic for a bit, but then she actually had some, she came out of it. But then he changed it in the movie right before they, started filming it. So whenever he went back and watched it, he's like, I don't like that change. So I won't. And he felt bad for years, according to what he said. And so he wanted that change in this movie.
See, the thing too is in that remake, Ben was more of a badass.
He was. I mean, they didn't really. The thing was, though, in the remake that a lot of people hate is that he's dead whenever they come out and they shoot him.
Yeah.
So it loses that context of the black man getting shot by the white mob or whatever.
But he's more of a badass in the second movie, I thought.
I mean, yeah, they upped it up, but I would say that it's comparable if you think of the times.
Well, I liked his character better in the second one. Like, he was like the guy that wasn't fucking around. He was there to like, hey, the shit's wild. We got to get a hold of it.
It is a different time. It's the 1990s versus the 1960s.
I know, but his character.
The fact that a black man was slapping a
white
man
woman,
and a white woman in that first movie we talked about this last episode, and I don't know if she told you this. He actually, right after he got done filming the scene where in the original movie where he killed some of the zombies with a tire iron, he was out in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania countryside, with some friends, and some white guys came up on him according to his story, came up on him with a tire iron and was going to beat his black ass, is the way he described it.
I could see that, but for that time era.
So he
more legit
he was able to be a badass, but probably only to a certain degree. Technically, I mean, they were pulling some, they were doing some wild shit in that film.
It's also the fact that, and we talked about this last episode, the actor who played Ben in the first movie was more of like an intellectual, like quiet guy that read a lot and all that stuff, very well spoken. They changed Ben slightly because he was going to be just a truck driver, like a crude truck driver in the original script, but they changed the part to fit him. So I feel like in this one, they kind of went back a little bit, and because they knew that Tony Todd could do more of the action-y, like, type stuff. They went that route with him in this one.
Real quick before we move forward, didn't you want to know what Noah had thought of Barbara's character in the first film?
Well, what I wanted to discuss with him, and we can bring it up now, is there's that thought out there that the characters in the original Night of the Living Dead each represent like reactions that people have to emergencies, and that Barbara going comatose is a perfectly acceptable character because there's a lot of people just freeze up and don't do shit whenever the shit hits the fan.
100%. I thought her character was more legit than people realize. That's how people react when shit's wild like that. They just lock up.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that and the other two characters, I appreciate the way that they portrayed Harry and Ben off of each other, because they're both leaders in their own right. One's more of a toxic leader, hence Harry, but they've got different ideas on things. Harry is the turtle type, it's like, let's let this shit blow over. Let's not be hasty. And Ben's more the man of action. It's like, we've got to do something. We got to kick we got to put these boards up. We got to kick their ass if they try to get in. And that's reactions people have too. Even if they are more action oriented.
I'm still glad she got slapped.
Sometimes, like, hey, Sean Connery called it. Sometimes you gotta slap him a little bit. Not a lot. Just you look. Get your shit together.
Music. This one was Paul McCullough. Made for a budget of $4.2 million. It only made 5.8.
For what reason?
I want to say that people were sick of zombies at this time.
What?
You got to remember. Well, you got to remember this was made in 1990.
Okay.
All through the 80s, we had zombie movies.
That's true. Okay.
And it took the death of zombie movies, or pretty much the death of zombie movies, through most of the 90s before people were like, hey, let's have some more zombie movies. And they're like, oh, you want zombie movies? We're going to make your life miserable, zombie movies, through the 2000s. And they did.
Okay.
You know what's super disappointing is the Rob Zombie remake of it. That fucking blowed, dude. It was so bad. Did you ever watch that one? It's Night of the Living Dead 3D.
Oh, no, I've never watched that movie, no.
Yeah,
It's bad.
Benny said it sucked.
It's
Actually, I take that back.
bad.
I think Benny liked it. Nona wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
That movie was totally. That's the one that's got Sid Haig as like the caretaker of the cemetery or
Correct.
something in it. I think.
that's the one.
That was only done because John A. Russo wanted more money, and
It feels like it.
And I think at the time that was made, Romero had passed or was to the point where he couldn't argue with it, and so that's the reason he did. It was a shitty move by Russo, honestly.
Yeah. But okay, so we're at the tail end of zombies, at least for the 90s here.
Yeah, the start of the 90s were not a good time for zombie movies because the 80s had so many good ones, and people had hell, they even had a music video that's the most famous music video in history that has zombies in it, for God's sake. And they were good zombies too.
Yeah, okay.
Very good special effects. So, principal players, we got Patricia Tallman playing Barbara. She goes from the frightened mouse to kick-ass, she-warrior in this movie. There's some debate. I could see people making the argument that maybe her turn is too quick in this movie, and she provides a middle of the road between the two of them. They're all wanting to hole up, and she's like, they're slow. Let's get the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
Which is the smartest of the bunch.
Yeah,
and,
I thought that was a pretty good change when they made her character kind of float that out there.
She's been in Star Trek, various different characters in that series, Babylon 5, Jurassic Park. She did stunts in that movie, actually. And she was the boomstick witch in Army of Darkness, the one that's that's lands on the ground. And he's like, quick, get an axe or whatever.
We check on her. No, give me an axe.
Oh, my God.
And then she was in a movie called Dead Air with another person in this movie, another zombie movie too. We might throw in here as a review before it's over with.
That's a hell good zombie.
Yeah.
Because Dead Air, if I remember, no, that's Dead Set. I'm thinking, okay, now I remember Dead Air.
Yeah, Dead Air is, I think, I've not watched it and I want to. It's a movie about a radio DJ, and he's covering as the shit goes down, and then the zombie horde comes to them, basically, I think is the gist of it. Tony Todd plays Ben, who's the traditional hero of the story, a little bit more kick-ass in this version.
Never heard of him.
Nope. He's been in The Rock, The Crow, Candyman. He is Candyman.
Yeah, he is Candyman.
My husband over here believing what I just said. I say that to every character that has.
Oh fuck, that's Candyman.
And I say that he is Candyman. This one that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
That ain't.
There's no
Candyman.
comparison. Yeah.
He was in the Hatchet films. He played like a kind of like a hoodoo practitioner in Louisiana or whatever.
Raina, did you watch the Hatchet films?
No.
Oh my! There's a scene where they think everything's honky dory and shit goes sideways, like at the top of this hill. It's such a classic scene. It's hella good.
I'm sure. Is the Hatchet series? Is that what we're reviewing the second round of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hatchet
Slasher
series.
season.
Yeah, Slasher season
I
2.0.
love the Hatchet fucking series, dude.
They're actually pretty good. I watched the first one years back, didn't give it enough credit. Watched it again. I'm like, okay, I appreciate these movies now. They've grown on me. He's also in Hellfest, which that's a slasher movie that's set during Halloween. I kind of like it. It gets shit for what it is, but I kind of like it. Just imagine a movie set during Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, but there's actually a real killer walking around while people are doing the little house stuff that they're doing.
That's fucked up.
He was in Night of the Living Dead, Darkest Dawn, the animated film, another one that they did. This time it takes the original survivors and puts them in New York in a high rise for some reason. Don't know why, but
Was the animation okay?
Dude, that sounds so familiar. I don't know if I've seen that, but I think I might have.
I feel like the animation is like about on par with the other one that we just reviewed.
Okay.
He was in the Final Destination films, Wishmaster, and in Devil's Rejects. So he's been in a lot of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Towles plays Harry Cooper, who's a cowardly prick. I feel like the guy does a pretty good job as Harry in this movie. He really makes you hate him in this movie. He was also in House of a Thousand Corpses. He played the sheriff in that. Devil's Rejects, Werewolf Women of the SS.
Oh, dude, that is... I could have swore they remade that movie too.
They haven't. It's the only movie of all those grindhouse fake trailers that has not become an actual movie yet. And
I'm not gonna lie, the poster for that movie is legit.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. He was in Halloween 2007, the Rob Zombie remake, The Prophecy 2, and then Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. I went back and watched Prophecy 1, 2, and 3 just the other day because I got like a big fancy set of them, man. I actually like the first 3 Prophecy movies. They're all pretty decent.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking The Omen is the later ones where Sam Neill plays the character.
Yeah, you're thinking of The Omen. Prophecy's Christopher Walken. He plays Gabriel, the Archangel.
Yes, okay. Yeah, those are good movies too.
Part 3 is kind of weird though. They make he becomes human. He gets cursed to be a human by God or whoever, and he totally changes his character in the movie. He's actually the good guy in it. It's kind of weird. McKee Anderson plays Helen Cooper. She's the downtrodden wife / mother. William Butler plays Tom. He's just a good old boy engaged to Judy. William Butler's been in some legit horror stuff. He was in Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Wow.
He was in Friday the 13th, Part 7. He was the birthday boy in that movie that gets killed before he ever gets to the birthday party.
Oh.
And he's a director, producer, and writer now of his own independent horror movies, in particular the Baby Oopsie series. That's him. William Butler does those.
Baby Oopsie series.
You've talked about it before, Reverend, but I don't.
I don't know anything about them. They look awful. I'm just saying, but they've got their fans. It's like this demonic baby that shits and vomits and does all that. So there you go. Katie Finneran plays Judy Rose, the country girl caught in a bad place. She was in Secret Invasion in the movie Freaky. Heather Mazur plays Sarah Cooper, the little girl bitten by a zombie. She's in Tacoma FD with the guys from Super Troopers.
Oh my God.
And General Hospital. And then Bill Moseley, who's also in Dead Air, plays Johnny, Barbara's sadistic brother. He's also Chop Top. So,
oh yeah. Oh my God.
That dog will hunt. House of 1,000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects, 3 from Hell, TCM2, Dead Air, Repo, the Genetic Opera, Natty Knox that I mentioned a few podcasts ago, and then Prisoners of Ghostland. He's been in a ton of shit. Bill Moseley's good.
I'd like to try to get Raina to watch the Genetic Opera, but I don't think she'd do it. Anything that has singing that kind of starts happening, she's like, oh my God, it's so stupid.
There is one song in that though when they're talking about that little glass vial that's like so catchy that like it made it on the TikTok. So Pat Reese plays the mourner at the beginning of it. He's the old man. I love that line. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And then Bill Cardell comes back and plays a TV interviewer again. He was also the TV interviewer in the first one. And Russell Striner plays Sheriff McClellan in this version of the movie. Synopsis: as in the original, Johnny and Barbara are driving out in the middle of nowhere to place flowers upon a grave. This time it's for their recently deceased mother instead of for their father doing it for their mother. During their time in the graveyard, Johnny taunts Barbara about her fears of the dead rising from the grave, and they find themselves caught in the beginning of the zombie apocalypse. Skip forward to the farmhouse, and the group of disparate strangers bicker and fight over how to best manage the crisis that is upon them, ultimately failing to achieve anything and dooming themselves. This time, however, Barbara grows backbone and becomes a Ripley-esque level badass. Uncle Reg could stand to lose a few pounds. Ben and Harry throw hands for a few rounds, and Barbara stops being a waste of space. And every road out is just another dead end.
Ugh. I hate zombie movies.
Johnny in the graveyard, for quotes, annoying her. They're horny, Barbara. They've been dead a long time.
This is another situation of literally a zombie is coming for you. You see it and you do nothing.
Now, to be fair, in this version, it's the old man who is not a zombie.
That's true.
Who does the fake out scare, and then that zombie that jumps on her in this one, it scared the shit out of me as a kid. That is a legit looking zombie.
I don't understand the mourner though. I thought he was like one of those attendants, if you will.
It was in my head, the way that the movie plays out, he was the guy, because they show the hearse there. So the zombie that attacks them, he actually has dust on him. No, the zombie that attacks her later, that's walking toward her, and then the clothes come off. She thinks it's the regular dude. I think that's the guy they were getting ready to bury.
Yes.
The old man was the guy who was like the caretaker that was going to, and he was the, but he does this thing, if you watch in the background, whenever the zombie attacks, that he flips around and then he kind of stares at her like almost like he's become a zombie at that point.
I think so too. Yes, I saw that too. And what the fuck is he sorry for?
I don't know, but that's my next line. I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry. I think he's sorry because he brought the dead to life, he thinks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ben, you're losing it, girl. You're losing it. And then Barbara's like, you think so? And then she shoots at the approaching zombie in the face. Whatever I lost.
Is it dead yet?
I lost a long time ago, and I do not plan on losing anything else. You could talk to me about losing it when you stop screaming at each other like a bunch of 2-year-olds. I love that scene though, also that you're talking about, where she's like, "Is it dead? Is it dead yet?"
Oh yeah,
because they don't believe her that they're all like walking corpses.
She's basically showing them you got to shoot them in the fucking head.
She's shooting the Megadeth zombie. That's what me and my buddies always called it whenever it shows up. Because the way they frame it. The way they frame it, it's like there's nothing in the window, and all of a sudden this like Indian, really skinny, and it's like Megadeth rules. That's what we always said when we watched it when my buddies in high school. Ben, you're the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, that is the case.
Go be the king of your castle.
Let's see. Ben, after having just pulled Harry forcefully out of the cellar, look, from now on, you leave that door open. We may want to get down there. We may need to get down there if those things break in. And then Harry's like, yeah, sure. You want the best of both worlds. You get caged up here. You want to be able to run downstairs. Well, that's not the way it's working, pal. You want to get in that cellar, you get in there now, or you can forget it. And then Ben's like, I'm not boxing myself in down there until there's absolutely no other choice. And then Harry's like, yeah, well, I'm not gambling with my daughter's life. Look, if you want to stay upstairs, go ahead, but don't count on me to help you. And then Ben's like, I'm not counting on you for shit, Cooper.
They're both fighting over nothing.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about it is that Ben, where does he end up?
Yeah, he ends up downstairs.
Where does Harry end up in the movie?
Upstairs, yeah.
Upstairs.
No, but he had the right approach. Why would you box yourself in? Like, that's a last resort. Wait.
That is true. Like, I wouldn't want to be boxed in, but at the same time, if that guy, I don't know, I guess it's a whole house and everyone's kind of got to be fair, you know.
Harry at the end of it, when he crawled up in the attic, was the smartest of all of them. If you're going to hole up inside the house, now Barbara's the smartest. Just get the fuck out of there.
That's true.
You know why?
But that was the problem. Is everybody was so ramped up on emotion that no one was thinking logically.
And that's kind of the point of the movie. That I mean, you get these strangers together. Well, even if it's your family members, you're going to have like this inner conflict that's going to cause so much issues you're going to lose precious time to actually be able to do anything. I don't agree with Ben on trying to board up the windows. I mean, nothing they were doing to those windows was helping. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they were just breaking on in. It was a bad place to try to defend themselves. Barbara, they're so slow. We could just walk right past them. We wouldn't even have to run. We could just walk right past them. We have the guns. If we're careful, we could get away. She's right.
Yeah.
Then that scene at the end of it, I love it. And I want to say that they said this was improvised. They're us, we're them, and they're us. You know, whenever she's looking at the rednecks, like, you know, playing fighting with the zombie, corralling it around and all that. Harry discovering Barbara as she returned to the house the next day after he's cowered in the attic and left her for dead. You came back. And then he's like, you came back. And then she looks at him and then just blows a bullet through his head. And then she looks at the rednecks and that's another one for the fire.
They straight up knew he wasn't dead.
Yeah,
they looked at each other and they're like, that's a cold bitch. Like, you can see it in their face.
Yeah. They definitely gave like a nod, like she's fucking nah.
But I love that line. I mean, she's so cold at it, like she doesn't even care at that point. Visually, this movie is fucking fantastic. Tom Savini's like work on these zombies. Like, this movie scared me to death for years. Like, seriously, it did.
Yeah. I mean if the first one scared me, this one definitely scared me.
There is not a zombie in Uncle Reg, like, just alone. We've not mentioned this. In the first movie, there is no Uncle Reg. You know that when they find that body upstairs, they just drag it out. There's no other zombie in the house. She's sitting there. This big fat ass zombie falls literally almost on top of her and then rolls around and it. When I first started watching this as a kid and I saw that zombie, I'm like, nope. And I turned it right off.
It's kind of like oh my God. Which one am I thinking? Is it Dawn of the Dead, the remake with that huge lady that was in? They brought her in. Yeah, they brought her in with the wheelbarrow. It's effective.
Well, she looked like a fucking zombie before she ever became one. That, to me, that's I thought she was a little done up too much before she turned, but that's a whole other argument.
Yeah.
But
she was fast as fuck boy though when she fucking got her zombie powers.
That zombie baby is not aged well though. We'll get to it when we cover that movie, but it looks like CGI bullshit. It does. But there is no zombie in this movie in the blood effects. I mean, it's Tom Savini. You're going to get your door. I mean, and like the scenes where like after Tom and Judy, like, you know, are dead and like they're like eating like the flesh. It's like way more like you can see more of it and it's just way more gross. It's
the sound effects,
very well
everything.
Yeah.
Look we have graduated past the white makeup, the white face makeup with the black raccoon eyes.
This is unfortunately jumping ahead in this movie. We're jumping a lot of like stages in the zombie makeup department because we have not covered Dawn, which is the blue gray zombies that are hilarious to look at.
It still looks better than the black and white makeup though.
It does. For my money, this movie and my favorite Romero movie, which is Day, have the best looking zombies in any of the series. So
wait, is there more than one Day? Is there an original and a remake?
There is multiple remakes a day, and they are all dog shit. And I don't know that I'll even watch them if you ask me to, because I hate what they've done with them. Basically.
I've never seen. I don't think I've seen any of the Day of the Deads. Not the original, not any remakes.
I don't know how you're gonna handle the original because it is grim. Like, it is the most grim movie he ever made, in my opinion.
Ugh.
You have not seen that?
I don't think I have. I'm not saying that I haven't. I just don't think that I have. I know that I've seen Dawn of the Dead.
You haven't seen Day of the Dead? It's the one where they're in this military underground depot.
No.
Yeah.
And they got to fly in with helicopters to kind of get resources.
Is that where Choke on Them comes from?
Yes.
I have not seen it.
You seen the clip where the girls? She's in like a brick room, and all of a sudden, all these hands come flying out of the wall. Oh,
I haven't seen it.
She's going to die when she watches this movie.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite ones.
I'm all shaking now. I'm like, ugh.
Well, because the movie's so good because it doesn't matter if you're a lead actor in that movie because shit goes sideways for everybody.
Yeah.
And to me, the creepiest thing about it is the music, because where they filmed it in this underground bunker, a lot of the music is like this wind and then like a moaning sound underneath it, like the zombies carrying. Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
You've seen clips of it. You just
I've
don't
seen
realize
clips of it. I've definitely seen clips of it, for sure.
Love that movie.
Well, because Reverend had me put together the disclaimer, and I had to pull a lot of sound clips, and some of them I pulled from was from YouTube, where it showed it, and I don't like it.
Oh, dude, that's such a good movie.
I saw a whole scene of some guy running down a hall, a zombie shooting this guy.
That's Bub. Bub's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now? Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, he's training him like a dog.
Yeah, Frankenstein was teaching him how to, be more human-like.
I have to woosah when I watch that movie.
But yeah, it's between Day and this, that's probably the peak of like zombie effects. Now you could probably say The Walking Dead, later on. Nick Terrell's done a pretty good job with it, but still, for the time, these were the two best zombie effects.
You know what the problem with The Walking Dead that it suffered the most was all the filler that they kept slapping in to the series, and it just kind of waters it down.
Are you talking about not the zombies?
No, this filler. When I mean filler, like filler episodes that
wasted
time.
Wasted time where there's barely anything.
That, and just like the comics, you get to a certain point where what characters are you supposed to root for? Because it's just like George R.R. Martin's like Game of Thrones. You don't even feel like connecting with any of them because they're going to die like an episode later. It's kind of pointless.
That's why I understand the whole idea of building up a ton of story with a lot of the characters.
That's a good point, because it's like you're trying to get connected to them, and for what purpose? It's like we were with Glenn for that long just to have what happened. So,
but that was a good one because the Glenn, you get even if you read the comic, you get a ton of invested time with them. For it to end like that, it's like that's different though. You have all this time invested, and it's like holy shit.
Yeah, but they ripped my heart out with Glenn, and I stopped. I have literally got the last book that I've got of The Walking Dead is that book, and the last episode I ever watched the show was that episode, and I'm like, I can't do it. You've ripped my heart out both times. I can't do it.
It doesn't get much better after that. Maybe like for, I would say a majority, maybe 4 to 5 more comics. It gets good. It stays good. And then it gets pretty fucking dark later on. But it that much after Glenn.
They start doing a lot of weird stuff where they're like, Michonne's like a sea pirate or something. I don't know. It's some weird shit.
I didn't get to Michonne doing
the new series, like the Daryl one's not that good, but the Maggie and Glenn, the Maggie and Negan, that one's actually not too bad when they go into the city.
I heard that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was shockingly good.
It's wild that those two are together, but not together, but a team.
They're Batman's parents,
Yeah,
so
that's 100% good way of putting it.
Story in this movie. Anything you want to say about the visuals? I know I took up a lot of the time, but it's fucking amazing for what it is.
Yeah, for what movie. It is, the time and how simple the budget. I mean, it's Savini. I think you could give him any budget, he's going to make it happen.
I mean, look at how good he made some of the scenes in the original Friday the 13th look, and I mean, they had no budget whatsoever.
Well, not that, but Savini did the special effects for the Thing too, right?
He did. I mean, he was over it, but like I think he had like a crew that he had built up this time that he knew he could whatever he told them that they were going to do exactly what he said. So
because he executed the Thing hella good. I mean.
Yeah, so and then visually, I mean, there wasn't he did so much with so little, in my opinion. I think it just worked so well.
Yeah,
again, this is one of those things.
But that's the number one thing that happens with all these movies.
Yes.
The budget gets stupid retarded tight, and they don't know if they can make it work. So they get creative, and what happens on the other end? Something amazing every single time.
What's the deal with the budget? Because there was only $5 million. That's back in the 90s. What is that in comparison to what we were talking about for the original, the one in the 60s?
Oh, they made it for a few 100,000, but then made like millions off of it.
Yeah.
So.
So, but like, what was the deal with this? Were they only given a small budget, or was that a pretty decent budget for this time?
That was pretty small budget.
Okay.
But I think they barely got the whoever it was that released it, and I can't remember now who the company is, but they barely got them to agree to it, and they're like, yeah, sure. That the first movie seemed to do pretty well, so maybe we'll make them, and they didn't really make much on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they didn't make much on it.
Well,
but
I'm curious how they did like after sales, like as times went on, like because there's a cult following within that genre. I'm curious if they've had to have made money long term on it.
I think long term, probably on video sales, it's probably done great. Because I mean, but also like Russo's been like really stingy with the rights to some of these movies, and I don't think you can find this on like a decent Blu-ray right now in the U.S. Like you can find it overseas, but you can't find it. It's the same thing with Dawn, the original Dawn. Like he gave the rights to like the European countries to do whatever they want to with them, and they've made some really good versions. But like the U.S., there's not been a good version of that since the DVD came out in like the early 2000s, and it's kind of shitty. It's like those movies came from over here. Like, why can't we have
Yeah, that is wild. It's not just readily available to buy.
Yeah, it's. The version that is available to buy is also supposed to have like bad color timing on it, which basically what that means is the movie looks bluish, like tint, at least the one that's available in the U.S. So it deserves like a brand new version to come out in 4K, if preferably. I mean, to give it its due, but that's up to Russo whether he's going to like get off his ass and allow him to do it. The only other thing I was going to say about the visuals is that there's a lot of like night scenes in this, and he does a really good job of lighting those scenes up and making the action stand out in them.
Yeah.
Story, it's the same story in the first movie. There's changes, but they're very minimal. I mean, he kept the story pretty much the same. The acting to me is way better in this one. You got better. You got better qualified actors though.
Huge.
And then the music, the music has got like a very creepy vibe to it. Like, I mean, especially at night, whenever like the zombies are outside and they're kind of like walking, to the house. It's got some really creepy music. It's not, I mean, Romero did the best he could with that stock music that we talked about, in the previous episode.
I think he did a great job. Yeah.
But this is legit. Like, this is some good, like, creepy shit.
Oh,
like, especially
yeah.
whenever they go outside and there's like a scene of like it almost reminds me of Evil Dead. There's like a scene of like this shed that's like off to one side of the house that's like lit up, and there's like zombies around it, and just the creepy like slow music that's playing like whenever they're like walking around it, kind of stands out in my mind.
Well, and you got to remember, we just came out of the 80s. Nothing but amazing fucking 80s pop horror music,
That's true. The best soundtrack to a zombie movie ever will probably go to Return of the Living Dead.
Yes.
That movie's got amazing
Which
music.
is pretty much the only song that is part of our intro or our disclaimer.
Dude, you know what I remember the most as a kid? It was when the girl gets naked. I remember
Yes,
when I was
you
a
guys
kid.
have talked about it multiple times. We get
This
it.
is amazing. This is the best movie I've ever saw.
Yeah, Linnea Quigley is a vibe in that movie. That's all I can say.
Yeah. It got to the point where we weren't even watching it for the horror. We were just like, did you see? She got 100% naked.
It's so sad too. I mean, especially like later on when she becomes a zombie, there's not a whole lot other than her like whole head, like almost like coming apart to swallow somebody's brains.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, still would I'm digging this,
Oh my
until
God. And you guys never got tired of looking at naked bodies.
No, she's like a stripper. She looked like a stripper build. Like as a young kid, you imagine if you went to a strip club, that'd be the type of girls you're seeing, and you get to watch a girl in a horror movie get completely buck naked, down all the way down. Like as a young kid, you're like, holy shit. Yeah, you didn't even have to use a magazine, dude. You just make sure no one's in the house, and then you just kind of watch the movie by yourself. I know my wife's giving me the evil eye.
He
right
can
now.
see me.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Well, I mean, bring it back to this movie. I mean, Barbara's not too bad looking in this one either. I mean,
No.
to be fair to her, I mean, she doesn't get naked though, unfortunately. But
Yeah, she got the tight. She got the tight tank top though.
yeah, she gets that white tank top going on. She's got all that business. I mean, we'll cover a little bit later on our final thoughts on it, but there's nothing bad to say about this. This is a damn good remake. Like, I mean,
100%.
you know, people that like to say, you know, remakes always suck. No, there's several movies out there that prove that wrong. The Thing, this, I would argue the Dawn of the Dead remake. I mean,
Wait, you didn't like
there's
the
several
Thing
movies-
remake?
The Thing is a
he's,
remake.
he's talking about the prequel.
Oh, okay.
No, the Thing that John Carpenter did is a remake.
Yeah, that's an
Okay.
amazing
okay.
remake. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The original movie was from
1950s or something.
I know,
black
but
and
it's called
white.
Thing from Another World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, and basically they're using his blood because it could supply nutrients, and they wanted to study the creature more.
Okay.
But yeah, there's several remakes out there that are fucking amazing, and this is one of them. I mean, it's a great remake. If somebody told me that they would only watch this and not the original, I would be sad, but I would understand, you know.
I was traumatized with this film, and I don't know if I saw this one first or the original one. All I know is I was like 5 years old, and my mom didn't want to watch scary movies by herself, so she included her
Wow.
5-year-old.
Come sit down and let's watch a nice family movie.
And I have been traumatized since. Now, my mom is also traumatized by these two specific films, so it's something that is passed down like a family tradition. I don't know what else to say. It's these films. They're good. I mean, I still like the original. This one definitely is better. For me, they hold up for anyone that has a thing for zombies, meaning you're scared of them. I don't care how slow they are. I don't care how slow they are. I don't care if they're fast. They terrify me.
You've seen the original, even if you've just watched other scary
That's
movies.
true, yeah.
Because it's always on the TV when somebody turns on the TV at
That's
night on
true.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Because they can, because the copyright issue.
That is so sad.
It's funny, but literally the George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead is basically the horror version of It's a Wonderful Life, because if you watch any Christmas movie,
Yeah.
when they turn on TV, it's, you know, the bell ring scene from, you know, It's a Wonderful Life, and this is the equivalent of that, just on Halloween.
Jesus.
Trivia on this. Tom Savini originally wanted to start the film in black and white and then slowly add color to the movie.
I would have liked that. I'm not going to pretend.
That would have been an interesting choice. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have took away from the movie.
I don't think so.
Bill Cardille appears as a reporter in both the 1968 version and the remake.
Cool.
His daughter is actually the one in Day that Noah was talking about, where the hands reach out of the wall and grabs her. She's
No, thank
actually
you.
at around 39 minutes at
Hold
one
on,
point in the
hold on.
film.
She's the main antagonist, the girl.
Yes, that's
His
Bill
daughter.
Cardille's
Really?
daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, she did an awesome job in that role.
Yeah, she was friends with Romero, obviously, since she was a kid, because her dad was friends with him. So that's
Fucking
how she ended
lucky.
up getting the part.
No shit, huh? Talk about fucking knowing people.
Yeah, dang, what's up with my friend? Can you get my daughter in a movie? Dang.
At one point in the film, a female zombie can be seen walking through a field with a blouse or with a house in the background. This zombie hears the banging from the humans in the house, trying to board up the windows, and is attracted to the noise, so she turns and begins staggering to the house. This woman actually owned the house in real life, and the producers wanted to use her and use the house in the film and agreed to give her a small acting part. So she's the one that, if you see her, she's carrying something, and she hears something in the house, and she's just does this quick comical take, huh?
Yeah.
And just
You
flips
mean
around.
this house right here?
Yeah, that house right there behind you.
I would not want to live in that house.
That house is creeping me out just seeing it behind you, let alone.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, this movie scared the shit out of me as a kid. It really did. I mean,
I wouldn't want to live in
quite
that
a
house.
bit.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, well, you can't see everything from the movie. It keeps it pretty close to just the house and small areas near it. And then it makes everything around it look like that nothing else exists. And maybe that's how it is. Maybe that's how it is for our girl Daphne, but I wouldn't want to live in that house. Don't look at me like that.
This is the only film in the George Romero associated Living Dead series in which the date of the zombie uprising is mentioned over a radio near the end. August 23rd, 1989. However, in the unaffiliated The Return of the Living Dead, 1985, at the beginning of the movie, the caption reached July 3rd, 1984, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Oh, my God.
It also reads Louisville, Kentucky, which is why I was traumatized by that movie.
You're like, that's where it starts.
I seriously thought it was a real thing. Like whenever I was that young of a kid when I saw Return of the Living Dead.
Hell yeah. You know
Also,
what, though? This is like the effect, the Blair Witch effect that had on everyone. And people make fun of it today of, oh, those stupid people were like so convinced that was real. Yeah, we did think it was real. And it was
good
fun.
Marketing.
Yes.
It was good marketing.
Good marketing. And that kind of fear, you can't pay for that kind of fear.
Yeah, I was in art class with this guy and one of my friends, and he kept like telling me, he's like, dude, have you seen this shit that's leaked on the internet about this Blair Witch stuff? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And remember, the internet was new, so we believed shit on the internet back in those days.
It's on the internet, so it must be true.
That's so true.
And like he was showing me the videos, and I was seriously creeped out. I'm like, and this is a real thing that they're going to show in theaters. And he's like, yeah, man. And I went and watched it, and the ending ruined it for me.
Yeah,
but the rest of the movie, it actually did its job. I'm not going to lie. And then the hype leading into it really did.
They did an amazing job. And look at, like I said, just like you read those words and saw where it was at, and you're like, oh shit. I'm telling you, look at how we're in our 40s now, and we pay good money to get scared. Okay. But we'll never be as scared as we were in those times.
No, I watched this at just the right time. I mean, to be scared out of my fucking mind. I think I was 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And it got me. It got me good.
There's not enough money in the world to pay for us to get that kind of fear.
Or at least Return of the Living Dead. I watched this after that, or tried to, and still couldn't do it. But that's a whole other thing. The Mercedes driven by Johnny at the beginning of the film was owned by Tom Savini. According to the director, it was the first car he bought after meeting with success, and it broke his heart to wreck it during the filming.
Fuck.
Did he get it fixed?
I did not realize that.
I mean, I know he was on a budget, and he was hoping probably that he could take like whatever major profits he got.
Yeah,
and just,
but he didn't.
Get it fixed. And then whenever it do that well, he was like, fuck.
Jesus.
It might have not did as well as he thought it did, but look at the long term he got out of it. He opened up a giant market for himself.
That is true. Columbia Pictures, they're the ones that distribute it, nearly distributed the original Night of the Living Dead in 1968. They had requested of the original that the producers change the bleak ending to a more upbeat ending before they distributed it. When the filmmakers refused to make the requested changes, that's when Columbia decided to pass on the original. They didn't do this one, though.
Sucks to suck.
In an interview with Cinefantastique during the film's production, director Tom Savini mentioned the possibility of including a shooting star over the horizon at the beginning of the film. It wouldn't be specified whether it was a satellite or a meteor, but would have been an homage to the Venus probe theory behind the original film, an idea that was completely dropped by creator George A. Romero in favor of the ambiguity in the next film, Dawn of the Dead. The idea, however, never made it on the screen. I think that would have been cool to have like a comet like crashing or something. That'd be kind of like the hint of the cause. Or, like a meteor or something.
Well, yeah, because we have no explanation in these films other than they just come to life.
Yeah, but in the original, they give that, that irradiated probe from Venus idea, but then like after that, there is no excuse.
Well, that's the thing is when you have a movie that's thrilling and engaging like that, you don't really need to explain where it came from.
It's true.
When the movie is shitty, then you got to start kind of walking back a storyline to try to hook people in.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because I watched Warm Bodies again for the upcoming discussion we're going to have of it, and at the beginning of it, R's talking about he couldn't remember how the zombie apocalypse started, but some of the things he lists off at the beginning of it kind of tie back to some of these other zombie movies that in the past or whatever. So they at least threw back the concept a little bit to that.
Yeah.
But he makes the point. He's like, it doesn't matter. We're zombies now. So just like Noah was saying. This is Tom Savini's directorial debut. He went on to make some other movies after this, so
Just a few.
thankfully this wasn't his last. The Magruder zombie was a man that director Tom Savini saw in a diner and told him that he would make a great zombie. The man agreed. He showed up to all the premieres. That's the guy that Judy sees on the porch, the guy that's got like the curly white hair that's like in just a blue shirt, and she's like, "That's Mr. Magruder." You know?
My God. No, thank you.
Funny thing about him is that his hair looked like one of my buddies in high school, and every time that he popped up on screen, we had Megadeth zombie, and then whenever that zombie popped up, we're like, "It's David." He's a zombie in this fucking movie, and it did look like him. So
what the hell?
As in tradition with most zombie films, the word zombie is never once used in this movie to describe the living dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's better or worse whenever they use the zombie word. I mean, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Tom Savini pushed hard with the producers to make Barbara the survivor and an action heroine.
Yeah.
And he got his way. Caroline Williams, who played Stretch, if you remember, in TCM2, she was the final girl. She almost played Barbara in this.
Okay.
But she was had conflicting schedule issues with Days of Thunder, and so she wasn't able to film this.
Well, Days of Thunder did a lot better, so
yeah, it did.
So can't complain about that.
Director Tom Savini has known Patricia Tallman since they went to college together. He chose to cast her because of her strong-willed demeanor, and she was also, I think, his love interest in the movie Night Riders that George Romero did in 1981.
Interesting.
Strange film. It's about people in the 70s that go around and do like a Ren Fair type cosplay, but like they're knights and and all that in King Arthur's court. But then they go around on motorcycles dueling each other. It's a strange concept, but it's actually not a bad movie. She was also much more of a stunt woman at the time than an actress at the time. I think she did a pretty good job acting in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, at around 50 minutes, the scene where Barbara shoots a zombie in the chest and then finally in the head was not originally going to be in the film. We were supposed to see a hideous female zombie that Barbara saw as her mother. Everyone was supposed to tell her to shoot it. The mother would have looked at Barbara and asked, "Where's Johnny, Barbara?" Then turned back into a hideous female zombie, at which point Barbara would finally shoot it. I'm glad they cut that because, I mean, even if it had been in her head, it would have thrown the audience. It's like, why is this zombie talking?
Yeah.
Because the rest of them don't,
I don't like that, yeah.
At around 49 minutes, the man who comes through the window after they throw Magruder out was a cab driver. That's the Megadeth zombie, who Tom Savini took a ride from and was hired to transport extras to and from the set during filming. Savini asked him if he wanted to play a zombie in the movie. According to Patricia Tallman, during the filming, he briefly stalked her and kept channeling Bill Moseley by repeatedly saying, "I'm going to get you, Barbara," as a joke.
I would have kicked
You know
him.
what? Every time I saw that guy, all I could think of was like a Hindu snake charmer.
Yeah, same.
That's what I think every time I see him too. Yeah. Racist.
I
The
do what I
character
can.
Tom. The character Tom, played by William Butler, wears a T-shirt with the Iron City beer logo on the front. This is the same drink consumed in the original Dawn of the Dead by the Redneck Militia, and it's also the same brand of beer that George Romero's production company, the Late Image, had produced a commercial of during their early years.
Really?
So that's a nice throwback.
Yeah.
This was originally rated X by the MPAA.
What?
The following scenes had to be cut or changed for the R rating. There was a close-up of the fire poker in the head of the first zombie that Barbara killed. There was a gory headshot of Magruder's zombie when Barbara shoots him. There's a bloodier version of the scene where Barbara shoots and kills the bald zombie who tries to enter through the window, Megadeth zombie. And then Barbara killing another zombie when she takes the gun from the dead cop zombie, which I actually like that. That scene in that movie's pretty good because she has no weapons.
Yeah.
And then a cop comes in and she takes his gun and she's smart about it. She's like, he's got guns on him. Obviously we should, at least, get ourselves some weapons. So that was a pretty good scene. But it sucks. The MPAA, I mean, I don't like their criteria for the shit that they do is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
It's weird.
But at least it's not Europe because like in Britain, there's still movies over there that they've banned that like we have seen like and don't think anything about that they won't allow their people to even watch.
Oh, really?
To this day. Yeah. I think that Texas Chainsaw Massacre might still be banned over there, like the original. I don't know if they ever allowed them to play it anywhere. Like there's people that if they want to see it, they can find it, but they have to import it from Germany because Germany's fine with it, but Britain's not. It's weird. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I don't understand it, honestly.
At around 6 minutes, according to the director's commentary, someone sent a copy of the footage of the Mercedes rolling down the hill into the tree to Dahmer's Benz, showing the airbag not deploying. They were apparently rewarded with a new car after they showed them that scene.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there you go.
Can we please not talk about this?
If it was a Takata airbag, it would have just exploded and said shrapnel everywhere.
That's probably true. At around 5 minutes, the autopsy zombie at the beginning of the film was not in the original script. That was something that was added by Tom Savini. That is a cool fucking zombie, though. Like
it is.
Text on
It is hella funny of its clothes just fucking popping off and everything. Like, what the fuck? I was horrified. See, you guys like seeing naked bodies at a young age, but as a young child watching this film, seeing some like guy with his butt just like hanging on, he's a zombie, that shit was horrifying. That wasn't like, oh, I would do that. I did not feel that way at all. It's the difference between boys and girls.
In your defense, I mean, we had Linnea Quigley alive, naked, dancing around in the cemetery. You had this naked, ugly ass man with like autopsy like scars, like cuts on the front of his body.
Yeah.
Like that's not the same.
Yeah, but I think even if you had Linnea Quigley like with that same similar situation, you'd still be for that. Don't lie.
If they had her tits in the scene,
exactly. They could have showed that man's dick to me, and I would have been even more horrified.
Yeah, young boys are like, how do we get more of these movies?
And then you realize that horror movies are the ones that primarily have those, and you're like, okay, that's why I like these.
Yeah, these are the best movies. Mom, can we get another one of these ones? Yeah, just watch in your room. Okay.
Without Romero on set, Savini clashed with the producers who did not allow him to explore his vision for the film. The production was not easy for the director, who described it as the worst nightmare of my life. Savini said that only 40% of his ideas actually made it into the final film.
Damn.
And despite the fact that filming was going smoothly and on time and on budget, Golan, I guess, who was one of the producers, and the rest of, and he rallied some of the other ones, insisted on cutting out other scenes and events to keep costs down. As a first-time director, Tom Savini could do little to stop them.
That
so he was on time and on budget with a small budget, and they're like, no, you cut some more shit out of this.
Damn. Maybe that's why it didn't do so well.
Well, Rob Zombie, I mean, had the same complaints about, his Halloween 2 remake or whatever. Like, because he said that half the shit he had in his script, they had him cut. Like, literally the day before he was going to film it, they were like, yeah, cut all this. And he said he was literally ripping like pages out of the script, the day before he was set to film them. The characters take refuge in an isolated farmhouse early in the film. Next to one of the doors visible in the shots of the exterior of the house is the name of the owner, M. Celeste, in nail-on letters and script font. This seems to be an homage to the sailing ship Mary Celeste, which was discovered in the Atlantic Ocean, unmanned and under sail, heading towards the Strait of Gibraltar in 1872. Her crew was not on board and the only lifeboat gone, but the ship had no damage and was seaworthy. Like the ship, the house was relatively undamaged by its ordeal, but none of the occupants survived. This is the deliberate reference, according to Savini. That's why he kind of tied the two together.
Interesting.
It was poorly received when it was first released and didn't do too well at the box office. While opinions are still split, I feel like more people are on the side of it now, but regardless, the film is largely regarded nowadays as a good film in its own right and one of the better horror remakes in general. So, and it is. Ving Rhames was actually considered for Ben in this. 14 years later, he would be cast in a remake of another George Romero zombie movie, which was Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
Other actors at the time were Lawrence Fishburne and Eric LaSalle.
Wow.
Lawrence Fishburne would have been a weird choice for Ben.
I think he would have nailed it for some, because I've seen him in so many different roles, and he always executes hella good.
He does, but I'm trying to think. I imagine him the way he was as Cowboy Curtis on the Pee Wee Herman show.
Oh God, Cowboy Curtis.
That's the time that this would have been on.
Yeah, that is true. You know what? I'm sorry, but nothing will ever top Tony Todd coming out of that fucking basement a zombie.
Tony Todd was amazing the whole way through, but yes, as a zombie, the way he looks and everything else is fucking. They got the right person. They really did. Speaking of, at 11:35, Tony Todd's character walks out of his truck with a hook in his hand.
Oh.
And this was before Candyman, so it's kind of an odd twist of fate. This was his first horror film. The zombie extras were recruited easily as the film's reputation drew them from far away as Kentucky to go to be zombies in that movie.
And this one was in Pennsylvania, huh?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty far.
Yeah, it's a few hours.
Because I always joke about how you and Donnie G are touching tips, with your fucking states. But our girl Daphne, she's pretty far from you guys. She couldn't just make a little quick, drive to meet you guys.
Yeah, I don't know how many hours it is, but it's quite a few to get up there from here.
Damn.
At like an hour 10 into the film, Cooper is standing in front of a picture of a U.S. Navy ship. This is a picture of the infamous USS Eldridge, which was reported to have been part of the 1943 Philadelphia experiment involving cloaking the ship to make it invisible. This is largely considered a hoax, but the legend of the Eldridge has lived on, and its place in the film hints at paranormal developments.
Okay.
So another ship reference to kind of hint at the spookiness of things. The special effects team intentionally kept the effects restrained as they felt the excessive gore would be disrespectful to the original film. I feel like it's enough to make the movie stand out. So, I mean, I don't know what it'd been goofy if they went higher than what they did. To keep the effects realistic, they used as inspiration real autopsies, forensic pathology textbooks, and even Nazi death camp footage.
Jesus.
I like it. Throwbacks.
This version was made mainly to address an issue of the open copyright on the original Night of the Living Dead, with the remake script drafted solely by George A. Romero. This version allowed the rights to finally be nailed down to Romero and the others who lost out in the 1968 era. Also, by allowing Tom Savini to direct, George was able to keep the film in the Dead family.
Okay. So this kind of sealed it back into his possession?
This version, the original will never be.
The original, obviously, but
yeah. This one was fully Romero and Russo's, so they got the rights back on this one. At around an hour and 17 minutes, the scene at the end of the film where several zombies are lynched from a tree and shot at was in fact scripted for the original film, but was cut because of the racial tensions happening at the time. This scene pays homage to that cut.
Interesting. Okay.
At around an hour 3 minutes, when Sarah bites her mother Helen on the neck, blood splatters on a garden trowel hanging on the wall. This is obviously a reference to the original movie where she actually kills her mother with a garden trowel. Ben spends the film arguing why it's better to stay upstairs, like I said, with Cooper, and they end up dying or going to the opposite places. So, I mean, it's kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Don't you think? Shut up.
Despite the obvious danger in the story, big zombies outside the house, not a single main character is killed by them. 2 are shot, 2 are blown up, 1 survives, and 1 is killed by the zombie daughter who's already inside the house. So that's something to think about. Of all the zombies outside, none of them actually kill the main character.
I never even thought about that. Oh my God.
That's a lot. That says a lot about society in just one little thing.
They were so fucked up in not working together. Oh my God. My mind is blown.
What closing thoughts on this movie? What do y'all think about it? I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah, there's nothing much to say. I mean, clearly I loved this film. I love it, but I also love it and hate it simultaneously. It's just,
what do you hate about it?
It's one of those. It just gets to me. The movie gets to me.
That means it's a good movie.
It's a good. No, I know, but that doesn't mean, like, me saying I hate it doesn't mean it's a bad film. It just means that it's one of those things that's hard for me to watch.
That's a good way to judge a movie.
Yeah.
the tension of it still gets to me.
Yes.
Like even, I mean, when I was rewatching it, I mean, like I'm more immune to it, so I don't automatically turn it off. But like, there's scenes where I can just feel like the tension building up still,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm getting anxious for the characters.
Exactly.
Sign of a good movie. Sign of a good movie.
It is. It is a really good movie. Babe.
Mine goes without saying.
You're on a podcast. You can't just sit here.
It's fucking epic. You should watch it. You want to hear something hilarious? I was talking to this dude at work. This is totally off topic. And he's probably later 30s. He has never seen the movie Predator. Because there was me and a guy at work were joking around saying a bunch of phrases from the movie Predator, and he was like chiming in and like, you know when someone doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about and they chime in, everybody kind of stops and looks at him. That was basically this dude, and we're like, what?
How did he react whenever you said the line about the sexual Tyrannosaurus? Or
That's
whatever?
the one we're talking about.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Bunch of slack-jawed faggots around here. This should make you a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex, just like me. And he was laughing. He's like, I know. Or like, what are you talking about, dude? It's Jesse Ventura from The Predator. He's like, I know. I was like, no, you don't. And he's like, okay, I've never seen the movie. I was like, and then we were like, what? And the guy next to me he's like later 20s. He's like, how in the fuck have you not seen that movie?
That's hilarious that the younger guy had actually seen it.
Yeah, he's like, and he's all, well, I don't like scary movies. It's like, well, first off, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak badass time, and it's not a scary movie. It's a badass action movie.
It's an action movie, yeah.
So
And
he thinks Predator is a scary movie?
He thought it was.
Oh my god.
So-
So he doesn't watch any scary movies then?
I don't know. But we were more infatuated for the reason he hadn't seen the movie. So then we were playing clips. He's like, it looks pretty good. It's like, because it is hella good, dude.
Yeah, just don't watch some of the later ones. They kind of they lose the shine.
Or the new one.
Yeah, the movies, it's awesome. It's one of my favorite fucking movies. It's like there's like a good handful of movies I love that are consistently movies I can watch over and over and over. And almost all the Evil Dead zombie movies, stuff like that, they're legit good ones. Especially when Tom Savini's on the back end making things turn into magic. I'll watch them over and over and over, and it doesn't. It's like eating pizza; it never gets old.
Yeah, even if you're getting it from a gas station, it's still good.
Oh
It's
my
still
God.
pizza.
100%. It's still good.
So aside from these two, Night of the Living Dead, the original, and then of course this is the remake. The only other ones aside from this have been the animated ones. Yeah.
For what?
For Night of the Living Dead.
Well, no, there's the
3D.
Russo Knot movies and 3D. There's somebody made a shitty movie called Flesh Eaters, which is what the original name of this was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they got Bill Heinzman, who played the original Cemetery Zombie, to come back, and it's like a prequel to the original movie.
Okay.
It gives you this big long story about how he became the Cemetery Zombie. Like, you really give a shit.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, it's not
anything about that.
Yeah. Huh.
So yeah, there's other movies out there. Unfortunately, because of that copyright going off of it, they made a ton.
Yeah.
And the reason there's so many bad Day of the Dead movies is somehow Romero, he didn't lose the copyright on it. He lost the distribution rights, and some other people got it, and they started making these horrible, like, lop-on movies to it or whatever.
Jesus.
It's
Dude,
like,
that Nick Cannon one is a fucking joke, dude. You ever seen that one?
no, I refuse to watch any of them, because when I saw what they were like, I'm like, fuck this. I'm not besmirching the original movie by watching any of this shit, you know?
We keeps it classy here at Death Holler.
Dude, the Nick Cannon one's a fucking travesty. You're trying to watch that thing and choke it down. You're like, holy shit, who did this in post-production and thought we made an amazing product?
I want to say that somebody got Ving Rhames to come back and do a Day of the Dead, and it was almost
that's
like they were
the
trying
one-
to do
the
it was
one-
supposed to be like a sequel to the Day of the Dead in a roundabout way.
And that's the one with Nick Cannon in it. And it
Oh
is
my God.
Okay.
bad. So bad.
As far as Romero's movies go, honestly, the remake. I mean, I love the original, but the remake is probably right up there with Day as far as one of my favorites. I like Land. A lot of people don't. And then whenever
I did like Land of the Dead. I like Land of the Dead, and there's a remake, isn't there? I like the remake. I'm not gonna lie.
There is, well, to get back to what you said earlier, I forgot about this. There is a movie that Romero made that's like a shot on film, like Blair Witch Project style movie, called Diary of the Dead, and it takes place on the same day that Night, the original Night, is supposed to take place. If you put it toward the future when people have cell phones,
Yeah.
but it's okay at best.
And it's a low budget. It's not low budget, but you can tell they didn't have a giant budget that did the movie.
The worst part about it is the blood CGI, and you can tell like it looks bad. Then he made Survival, and it was the last film he made, and it was so bad.
What's it called?
It's
Survival
of the Dead.
And what's the? I don't know if I've seen that. What's the framing of the movie?
So it takes place immediately or right after Diary of the Dead, and the only claim to fame of it is, or the only thing that stands out about it, is it takes place on an island. Like some of the characters from the first movie make their way to an island, and there is an undead zombie woman riding around on a dead horse or something through most of the movie.
What the fuck?
And it's like, and remember now, it's like it's like two families feuding is what the whole movie's about. Like they're on this island with the zombie apocalypse going on, and they're still like the Hatfields and McCoys. Basically, it's like, fuck you, I hate everybody in that fucking family. I'm going to kill all you mother. It's like that's what the movie is, and it really is so bad. Like it really is. Like when I watched it, I'm like, oh god,
the makeup effects are pretty terrible. Like they don't even look like zombies.
You know what that movie sounds? You ever seen the Cognies versus Zombies?
No, but I've heard that one's actually pretty good.
It's kind of like that, but it's set in the city, and that one's really fucking cheesy. Also, though, that one's gonna.
I think I've seen like parts of it. Yeah. But yeah. I don't. If we cover any of the later ones, like Land is pretty good. We might get to Diary at some point, but we do not need to watch Survival. It hurt my heart to watch that. I'm like, I know Romero was kind of sick.
God awful.
I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to check it out just to see what it's like.
Just be aware, it's not good at all.
Yeah, the zombies don't even look like zombies.
But you can't beat the original. For what it is and for the cultural significance of it. We have a whole new monster movie genre that is just because of Night of the Living Dead. What did you think, Noah? Because you wasn't on here. What did you think about the original Last Man on Earth movie or whatever with Vincent Price in it?
I didn't watch all of it. I didn't even know about that movie until I saw Llareyna watching. I was like, oh shit! I didn't realize it was it went that far back. I kind of liked it the little bit I saw. It was a little cheesy with him having his own DNA sequencing lab inside his house.
Yeah,
because if you think about how big the technology and how expensive it was back then, it's a little unrealistic.
Yeah, well, if he's the last man alive, though, he might have been able to just go to the lab that he worked at and, pull the shit there. But, yeah, it would have probably been, like, a lot bigger machine.
You going to tell me this old motherfucker was able to drag that equipment to his house and get it hooked up?
No, I'm just saying maybe. I don't believe it, no. Because we talked about there's a scene where he's loading the dead bodies in the back, and you can tell he's struggling with that. So
it's not that, but if you get it to your house, that means you're going to install the electricity to run the equipment. That means you're going to run a 220. And all of a sudden, my brain starts saying, like, this is unattainable. This guy doesn't know shit about any of that. That's just how my brain works.
The reason I bring it up, though, is that the vampires in that movie are very similar to the zombies in the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
Like, a lot.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I other than that, I'd like it. I like Vincent Price a lot. I think he was one of the guys that really pushed or made a lot happen for horror.
Horror?
Yeah,
horror.
He kept it alive during a time whenever it was just the after they got through the radioactive, like, atomic age of, like, horror movies where it was all big, like, ants and tarantulas crawling through the desert destroying towns or whatever. Like, it basically died as a genre until he came in and started doing the movies he did. So I don't know. I don't know where it would have been at if he hadn't been there to kind of keep it alive for whenever he did.
Yeah, I want to sit down and actually rewatch it. I only saw a little bit when Raina was watching it, but it looked like a good movie. I like old school movies that are done good.
Well, the thing was, too, the shocker of that was I liked that film. And I don't like black and white films.
Oh, dude. Unless everything's blowing up 24/7 in the movie, then it's like, this movie's fucking retarded. It's like, really? Because there's a story? My bad. How dare we build an attachment? So you know what the funny thing about my old lady is? If there's anything that gets remotely kind of lame, I hate this movie, but I swear to God, you put on the fucking Notebook and it's like, oh my God. It's like, this is one of the worst.
When have you ever seen me watch the
Notebook?
I
know. Okay. Fools Rush In. How about that one? But that's the thing is, so her view on it is subjective as fuck. It's like, I can only watch movies that are like super action, and then you watch shit like that. You're like, no, you got the capacity to watch that.
Fools Rush In is a story about a Mexican girl and a white man.
God.
Every other story I've watched similar to that has always been about like Mexicans and white people. It's relatable.
I'm gonna jump out the fucking window.
I mean, that puts me one step away from my life changing drastically financially forever.
You're gonna meet a white guy with money?
No, your death comes with a lot of money.
Oh wow, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah. See, it is a horror movie.
I honestly, I mean, it's one of my favorite horror genres, even if it has been done to death in the last decade. I don't know what
would you say it keeps coming back to life?
It does, but they find good like avenues to take it in some of the better movies. Like they focus on the human element, like Anna and the Apocalypse, like when we covered it.
Yeah.
I mean, they figure out the right ways to use it because it's a good like kind of Cody kind of mentioned. It's like a good generic monster that you can kind of like put human like stuff into.
Yeah.
To kind of like play that stuff out.
See, and Anna the Apocalypse is like a sleeper movie. Like people are like, I don't know about that movie, and it's like, no, I like that movie. Like I thought it would be a little too much with the woke shit, and it wasn't. It was like the balance you're looking for when you make a movie. You're not beating someone over the head with the message.
Unlike the Black Christmas 2019 movie that came out, that was oh my God.
Or It's a Wonderful Knife.
Oh.
That's fucking that movie sucks my dick. That is
if you look at that movie and it's like if you look at a character, if you guess that they're gay, you're 90% right every time. I mean, because I got to the end of it, I was just like, so everybody's gay in this movie, like everybody.
But that's
everybody.
But that's the funny. Like I was telling Raina that when we were down at Universal, we were walking around. I was like, do you understand how out of touch Hollywood is? Because if you walk around any amusement park, it's nothing but families and kids. And like it's like, but if you watch a movie, like 90% of the cast is all gay. But in reality, it's like, no, you're fucking like maybe in the marginal 5% range.
I did mention though, Disneyland does have a lot more,
but even
non-conventional
I understand
couples,
that, but even ratio wise, I guarantee
it's still nowhere near.
Yeah.
They promote.
Yeah,
not even. Yeah,
you might get lucky if it's like 15% of the people were like,
oh God, not even that much.
Well, I'm just saying though, the representation's fucking all over the goddamn
and it's
place.
usually the same people you see around the park because they're pretty easy to point out.
Damn.
It's like I was telling her about It's a Wonderful Knife though. If they would have had the brother in that movie be a straight guy with a girlfriend,
100%.
That would at least mixed it up slightly.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to make the reveal that she was bi or lesbian, just hadn't realized it, and she already had the aunt that was too. I mean, you're already skewing heavily into that region.
Yes.
You don't need the brother to be, and
but if you think about it too, it would have made more sense the fact that her and her boyfriend weren't having a good relationship, and you could spin it as though, yeah, she's gay, she didn't want to hook up with him or fuck him or do anything. Then you give plausible deniability. That's why the relationship wasn't working, and that's why he was fucking her friend.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I even have one of my gay friends she watched the movie. I had convinced her to watch it, and I was like, it's not good, but this is, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, here's the thing I didn't like. And I told her, she goes, you're so right. She goes, even a gay person was like, everybody was gay. She's like, it's not like that. She goes, the girl, like she was with me with the girl. I was like, I understand the girl coming out as gay by whatever she was at the end of the movie. She goes, that made sense. She goes, everything else, none of it made sense. They were just gay because they made them gay. They weren't even like convincingly gay.
No, and the other side of it too. I mean, I know this is way off topic for this, but people can leave at this point if they need to, whatever. But it's every heterosexual couple in the movie was evil.
Oh yeah.
Like, did you notice that? It's
her
like,
dad, her mom.
The mayor of the town, who seemed gay the way he was portrayed by Justin Long, but he was actually heterosexual, but he was evil,
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's how you write a movie. You can drink your water.
Don't give me cooties.
But I don't know. It's going back to the zombie movies. I mean, this is the start. They all came from this original point, and I'm so happy that George Romero, even if he couldn't get away from this genre, and he tried very hard to get away from this and had to come back to it. And I don't know if that bothered him. I mean, he seemed fine with the movies because he could do stuff within the movies that he wanted to say. But I feel like there was part of him that was like, there was a split second there where he could have done anything else, and it just didn't work out for him.
But think about if he never came back to it, you wouldn't have the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which is fucking an amazing movie. There's so many movies that got redone for a modern era that were amazing. Because
I'm not even talking about this remake. I'm talking about the original movie. Once he got past it and there was a split. He made like several different movies in several different genres, like in between trying to not be that zombie guy, and none of them worked out for him. They were all duds. And then he had to come back and he did Dawn. And then everybody was like, yeah, you're the zombie guy. Do those for the rest of eternity. And I don't know if that bothered him or not. I mean, he
did
weird, great with them
because you can do so much with it.
And he was happy to do that. I watched an old interview with him, and it's funny watching these old interviews from back in the 70s because it was like Tom something or other show. I don't even know what the guy's name was, but Romero and that Tom guy who was the talk show host were like smoking, like chain smoking the entire time. Romero was literally like lighting one cigarette with the other. That's how much chain smoking was going on. Jesus. And but they had Don Coscarelli on there too, a very young Don Coscarelli. He had just done Phantasm, and the guy was interviewing him, talking about horror movies, because this was around the time that Romero had done like Dawn, and he was asking him, he's like, what do you say to people who thinks these movies are too gory and all that? And Romero was just having a blast with it. He's like, I can tell the stories I want. This particular movie about, Dawn, he was talking about consumerism, and he said, just dress it up with all this stuff. And he said, it's a big comic book. He's like, it's just all, like just out there and fun. And he's like, we just had a blast making it. So he didn't hate it, but like at the same time, I think there was part of him that wanted to do other things,
Yeah, but the best thing about zombie movies, it gives you a giant slate to delve into human interactions and how fucked up people can be. Like you have so much room to make a story around stuff like that.
And the best movies do that, like 100%.
Big time.
I'm glad that we are 1 month into this and we only have 11 more months to go.
And she gets.
Do you understand like the scope of zombie movies that are out there?
Yeah, we're going to be reviewing them.
We got so fucking many. You don't even watch a fraction of the ones we have.
I don't want to watch them. I don't like them. They scare me.
That's why you watch them.
But she's going to get a break in February because they're all like romantic comedy zombie movies, which is like you can.
Are you watching? Are you guys doing Fido?
We are doing Fido. I'm going to cover it, but I can't. I don't feel like Fido is like necessarily romantic. It's
it is. It is.
The old lady wants to hook up with the zombie at the end. She does hook up with
but
I know, but the whole story is Fido pursuing her because he fucking is attracted to her.
Oh my god.
There's other movie. I might throw it in there for Attack of the Bees because I guess that would fit. The other ones that we are doing though is Warm Bodies and Death Becomes Her. Those are the first two. And then at the end of the month we're doing My Boyfriend's Back and
dude, that's such a good teeny pop movie.
It is. And then Life After Beth. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Life After Beth yet. So, yes, I do get a refresher for February, and then it's back in the saddle of
Dawn of the Dead. You get to see that.
Rewatch Fido, because I think you might have a different opinion now. Watch it with a clean set of eyes, and you'll understand what I'm saying.
Okay, it's been a while since I watched it, so I just remember him, like him being like the servant, the dog, as it were.
He
to
was.
the
That's the whole
family.
idea. But then he starts kind of like, the old lady's kind of hot, and everything starts changing.
And then, have you seen Maggie, Llareyna? Have you seen that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? It's a tough one. It's more about like if your kid started to get the zombie virus, what would you do to save her? That sort of thing.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
You would not like that movie. Because you'd be like, this is boring.
Would I?
Yes.
Oh, there's a storyline.
It is more of like a smaller story. I mean, set in like the zombie apocalypse or something, but I don't know. It's a good movie. I thought it was pretty good.
It looks pretty good. I might like it.
I know you. You're gonna be like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I've watched enough of the movie. That's what a lot of it ends up being. Like, she watches a little bit and she realizes how boring it is. She's like, I'm going to bed. I got enough.
I won't be something like that. I probably won't be watching while laying down. So.
Yeah, she'll go to bed.
Anything else we want to say for the podcast before we shut it off?
No, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I'm glad we're getting a refresher after this. So.
All right, folks. With that, peace be with you.
And with your spirit.